Thanks, everybody, for joining the Manny Hall once again. We really appreciate your love and support. Today's guest, we have LaShawn Gooden. She is doing her thing in the Maryland area, and I'm so definitely proud of her. Being a young black woman in this particular field of encouraging and supporting and motivating people is an excellent thing. I've been following her on social media for quite some time now, and I definitely wanted to have her on the show. So, welcome, LaShawn.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem at all. Can you please tell everybody what you do for those that don't know you?
Yes. So, I am the founder and CEO of the Just Me campaign, which recently got accepted as a nonprofit as of January 8th. So, I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So the Just Me campaign is a movement to inspire and empower people to be confident in who they were created to be. And so with that, my main goal is to spread the messages of self-love, self-confidence, positive self-esteem in people, both men and women. And in order to do that, I have a social media platform that I give encouraging words just about every day on. Also, I go to the community. I'm initially from Maryland, so a lot of my work has been done in Maryland, going to schools and organizations just to spread those messages so people know that it's okay to be who you are and to be confident in it.
That's awesome. I love that. So why do you personally think it's so important to be confident in yourself?
I think it's important to be confident in yourself because when you're confident in yourself, you can do more. So let me explain that a little bit more. Me growing up, I was always kind of seen as like a goody two-shoe, and I did the right thing, and I wanted to get good grades, and I wanted to go to church. I wanted to be a part of things. But although those were very positive things, I had a lot of friends that didn't like that about me. And because I was super positive, they always thought like I thought I was better. And so they kind of ostracized me and kind of put me to the side. And so there was a point in my life for about 3 years in adolescence that I didn't have any friends, and I was kind of grappling with this idea of who am I? Like, do I listen to what people say about me, or do I listen to who I know I am to be? And from that and being kind of ostracized, I really had to sit with myself and be introspective. And from that, I was like, I got to walk in who I am, and I got to know who I am and be confident in it. And then that allowed me not to really be fazed by the negativity that people were spewing at me, and to just stay in my lane and do what I knew what was right for me. So I think that's why confidence and being confident in yourself is so important.
Yes, I totally agree. And there's so many people that struggle with that, especially in your particular lane, is dealing with young women and even men, but young women in particular, because depending on how their relationship was growing up with their father, or different things that they experience growing up in school and different things, that can really shape who they are.
Right.
So
I totally agree. No, I was just going to say, I totally agree. The experience that you have in childhood can definitely affect how you experience life in your adulthood and in the future, and it sets up how you kind of see life, and it can impact your confidence level. And so it is important that we spread these messages about self-confidence and how to be confident in yourself, because everybody doesn't have the same background, and there could be backgrounds that affect your confidence. But just because there were factors in how you grew up or you were socialized doesn't mean that that's how you have to stay. It doesn't mean that you can't grow to love yourself, to have confidence in yourself, to know your self-worth.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. So do you think that it's a process getting to that point that you are confident within yourself?
Definitely. For sure. I think that, like I said, every different person is unique. And so some people will have different levels of confidence just off the bat, or from the way they were socialized and growing up. They might have had more supportive parents so they had stronger attachments, more positive attachments. And so they had a different level of confidence. But in the world that we live in, people have opinions and people say things, and so it's really easy for what people think to impact your confidence. And so it's definitely an ongoing thing. It's not like you're confident. I've reached the level of confidence and I can be no more confident. It definitely is a process of getting to know yourself, getting to love yourself, knowing that you are worthy. And it's an ongoing process because there are different things that impact us every day that can try to push us off our game or impact us that we don't feel as confident. So it's one of those things that you have to actively work on like each and every day. I don't think that you reach a level of confidence and it's just over. Like you have to do things every day to acknowledge how you feel, to know where you are in life and just try to do things every day, whether that's affirming yourself in the mirror or if that's talking to people and surrounding yourself around positive people that can encourage you and love you and see things in you so that you can build your self-confidence. So I for sure think it is a journey.
Yeah, no, speak about that process for a minute because I think a lot of people, probably all people, aspire to have more confidence within themselves, but it can be really challenging. A little bit ago, you spoke about how, you know, people's opinion can really shape who we are. But, like, how can we disengage from that?
How can we disengage from that? That is a great question, and I will be very honest that I don't have all of the answers in that area, and that's something that I am continuing to grow in myself. But I think the first thing to disengage from that is to trust who you are. Trust yourself. Okay. Know that you are a unique being and that people will have different things to say, but you have to know who you are and what you want out of life. I think are two things that can help you disengage from what people say, because if you know who you are and you know what your path is or where you want to go, other people's voices can't speak as loud because you know who you are and you know where you want to go. And so I think just having that grounding and knowing who you are and being like set on a goal of where you want to go or who you want to be helps you disengage from what other people have to say about you. So for me personally, I knew that I wanted to do certain things with my life. I wanted to be in a positive way of life. I wanted to have a positive mindset. I wanted to inspire people and I wanted to motivate people. And regardless of what other people had to say, I know what my end goal is, and I know that I want to be influential in the lives of other people. And so the other things that people have to say are not as important to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I hear what they have to say sometimes, and it does bother me. But that's the process of learning to be confident in who you are. So you acknowledge, what they said about me or their opinions about me, and it might bother me. I can sit in it for that moment, but I don't let that have a long-lasting impact on me.
I love that. Yeah, and I love the point that you made about their voice not being as loud. And I think that if we're constantly speaking to ourselves, those positive words of affirmation that you talked about, then when they do speak, you can acknowledge that they're talking, but it doesn't have to have a negative effect on who you are.
For sure, definitely.
Yeah. So what's next for Just Me?
What is next for Just Me? Wow, that is a huge question. There is a lot next for Just Me. So just as a quick background, so currently the Just Me campaign was born out of Maryland, but I currently am in Minnesota getting my doctorate in counseling psychology in order to help inform the work that I do with my campaign.
Nice.
And so, yes, thank you. So what I hope to do with the campaign is to be able to have more events. So already this year we had a vision board experience, and in that experience what we did was we broke down what a vision board is, because I feel like a lot of times people have vision boards and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just pasting pictures of words like success, motivated, but they don't really have a goal attached to that. It's just like cute pictures to put on a board. And so what I did was I broke down what a vision board is, and I broke down how you need to have SMART goals. You have to know what your goal is, and you have to be able to write it down, and then you have to be able to make steps toward that goal each and every day. And so that was one event that I had. And then the next thing that we want to do is have a kind of like a just relaxation day for people, and to encourage my community, especially African American community, in the areas of self-care, because a lot of times we don't know what that means, and it has a negative connotation about self-care and what that means, and taking care of yourself and trying to be your best self. And so we want to do an event in the area of self-care and wellness, and helping people understand what self-care means and how to live their best life, and have speakers that can speak to men as well as women, because a lot of times people do hear my campaign and they just think automatically women. And I'm not opposed to that, because I do want to be beneficial and influential in the lives of women. But I feel like men also need this. Men also need to know the importance of self-love, self-confidence, positive self-esteem, because a lot of times men are socialized in a way like you can't cry, you can't be weak, or if you cry, that's weakness, and I have to be so hard, and I can't let anybody know how I feel. And then there are a lot of issues that arise from that, because they don't know how to express how they feel, and it comes out in anger or other ways that probably aren't as positive. And so I want to just help in the areas for men and women. But moving on from that particular event, we just want to have events that empower and inspire people. I want to go into schools and spread the messages of self-love and self-confidence, because I believe that if we can begin to change how children are socialized and how they see themselves at an early age, that'll impact them into adulthood, and then they'll be able to more easily walk in self-confidence and know their worth and their self-love. And so because the campaign is now recently a nonprofit, I'm excited to be able to do bigger and better things, and hopefully can get more sponsors and funds to make the events big. And I want to also expand to Minnesota, where I currently live, and do things in the inner city here, and help African Americans in the areas of self-love and self-confidence and positive self-esteem. And so every event is not in play, but the overarching goal is what I've said before: self-love, self-confidence, and positive esteem. And we will do that, whether it's events, social media, pairing up with other organizations that are doing like-minded things, so that we can just help and empower and inspire people.
I love that. So as your organization is transitioning into being a nonprofit, what's your biggest challenge right now? What's your biggest need?
My biggest need these funds. It is so great to have an idea and have a desire to be inspirational and empowering, but if you don't have the money, it's really hard to make an event go over well. And so now that I am a nonprofit, I am actively searching for people that can fund or grants, things of that nature, so that I can have money in order to put on these events. So I think that would be my biggest challenge right now. Even when it wasn't a nonprofit, was just the funds and the sponsorship was the biggest piece. But I am excited to have the nonprofit piece by my name, so that people know that it's actually a cause and a benefit to this cause, and hopefully see my heart in the cause and are willing to be able to support the cause.
And I think it's really good. I like the t-shirt that you have, that black t-shirt that says just me. And I think that if we really begin to not only promote ourselves, but like you're saying, believe in yourself, motivate yourself, then we can all go further as a people, because, you know, it all starts us individually before we can work together corporately. Like, we have to have these certain things within ourselves to really be able to go far.
Yes. I definitely agree, and that is part of the campaign. And because sometimes people, when they first see the words "just me," they're like, "What does that mean? Is that like a self-centered thing about just me?" But no, it's more about, like what you're saying, knowing who you are. And if I know who I am, then I can help somebody else. And if I have self-esteem in myself and I know my self-worth. And so just me is really about knowing who you are and understanding who you are, so that you can be a benefit to yourself and others.
Can you say that whole part again as far as like what it's really
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Say it again.
Can you say that whole part again about what the Just Be campaign is about? Misconception.
Sure. Yes. So a lot of times, or I won't say a lot of times, but sometimes people see Just Me and they're like, is that like a selfish way of being? Like, is it just about you? Or just about me in the sense of, like, everything revolves around me. And that's not where it comes from. It comes from a place of, in order to be beneficial to other people, in order to be able to help my community, I have to first know who I am. And it's okay for me to know my self-worth, to know that I am loved, to be confident in me. In order for me to help others or to be my best self, it first has to start with me. And so it's not a selfish thing in that I'm not helping anybody. Everything is self-centered around LaShawn or whoever's wearing the shirt. It's just me knowing who I am, being confident in it, walking in it, and then knowing that if I'm confident in myself, that if I love myself, if I know my self-worth, then I can help others. And
I would argue too, LaShawn, that in helping yourself, you're actually helping somebody else because,
yes,
you know, they often say that the first law is your self-preservation. So if I'm effectively taking care of me, then I'm lessening the burden of you having to take care of me.
Yes, I definitely agree with you.
So when are you going to be done with school? You have like a couple more years?
Yeah, so LaShawn has been in school for so long at this point. I have about 2 more years of coursework in my doctoral program, and then I have a final year of internship.
Okay.
And after all of that has been said and done, I will have been in school, higher education for 10 years. But I would like to think that is worth it because I believe that everything that I'm learning in school will just continue to inform what I do with my campaign.
Right. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have a confession. I actually was enrolled in my doctoral program. I did all the coursework, got to the dissertation, was working on that in the perspective stage, and I gave up for a while because it just like became too challenging with family.
For you, while you're still in that fight, I just want you to keep going so you can finish the both of us.
Yes, definitely, and I appreciate that. But I also appreciate what you're saying, and that at the time you thought it was hard. There's a lot going on. You recently got married, different things of that nature, and then you stopped at that point. But the thing I appreciate about that is that you realize that just because you stopped doesn't mean you can't start again. And I think that is where confidence and knowing who you are really comes into it. That just because you had to stop something doesn't mean you can't get back in it, and knowing that you have what it takes to actually finish it and that you will finish it. So I definitely appreciate what you said there.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That was good. And yeah, for me personally, sometimes I do stop a lot of things, and some stuff I might not go back to if it just wasn't meant for me. But for that particular journey with the dissertation, like, I'm definitely going to finish that.
Well, awesome. I look forward to seeing it getting finished.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what challenges have you had since you became a 501c3?
What challenges have I had since?
You started the 501c3, your nonprofit?
What challenges have I had? I have had lots of challenges. I feel like, one big thing is support. Support and then spreading the message. I feel like a lot of times it's easier for people to support someone that is already well established in something. For instance, like a celebrity. It's like, oh, yeah, we want to buy such and such newest something, or we'll spend hundreds of dollars for such and such's empowerment conference. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, because those people are doing great things. But it's harder when you're newer to something and people don't really know who you are and they're trying to figure out, do I like what they're saying, especially when you're in the field that I am, my field is inspiration empowerment. And so a lot of that depends on how people perceive me and if they want to even hear what I have to say or believe in what I'm actually doing. And so just getting people to support what I am saying or doing, and then that goes right along with me being able to disseminate my messages at a broader population. So right now I feel like a lot of the supporters that I have are people that know me, or they know me from somebody that knows me, if that makes sense. So they're very connected to me. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate that, because I appreciate that the people that know me through connections are interested in the campaign and want to hear more about it. I appreciate that. But my goal, in addition to that, is to be able to spread the message worldwide. And so I understand that it's a stepping stone, and I'm not rushing the process, because I really do believe in the process and things take time. But just getting the message spread out there beyond just kind of like my network or my network of networks network, if that makes sense. It's something, thank you, it's something that I have struggled with a little bit. So those two things, and of course, like I mentioned, funding has been a little bit difficult. But for me, I know how important this cause is to me, and I know that it's beneficial, and I know that it will impact the lives of millions of people. And so while those struggles are struggles, and sometimes they get me down, and I'm like, oh man, like, is this really what I want to do? I get back to why I started this, and how this was my baby, and how it pushed me to be confident in who I am, to know my worth, and to love myself, and that I'm not going to give up no matter how difficult things might be.
That's awesome, and I definitely encourage you to not give up, because you have such a large calling to help so many people and identify where they are and where they need to be. Is the challenge within itself. I mean, because each individual is going to be totally different. So I encourage you to keep pushing and keep going. Do you have any last words?
Well, thank you. I think my last words is just thank you, Manny, for allowing me to even be on your show, for the opportunity. I just want people to know that life is a journey. Each of us is different, and that me and my campaign, I want to help people answer the question, who are they? And then if they understand who they are, or what they want to be, or where they want to go with their lives, I want to help reconcile if there are any differences in where they are now and who they want to be, and just help people on their journey to self-love, self-confidence, and positive self-esteem. I'd say that we have a social media platform. If people want to follow that, it's on Instagram at justme_campaign. On Facebook, if you type in the @ symbol and type in the words Just Me Campaign, will pop up. And lastly, we have a website, www.justmecampaign.com. You can follow the events that we're having. We also have apparel that can encourage you in your journey to being confident in who you are. So those would be my final words. And thank you again, Manny, for allowing me the opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, no problem, LaShawn. I wanted to ask you before we go, do you have a Facebook page for your organization?
Yes. The Facebook page is Just Me Campaign. So if you are on Facebook, if you type in the @ symbol first, because that's the only way it'll pop up, and then type in Just Me Campaign, we will come up.
Okay. And do you have a personal Facebook page for yourself?
Yes, my personal Facebook is LaShawn Gooden. I'm sure it'll be in the bio, or I'll make sure that Manny knows how that's spelled correctly so that you can find me. And also just on Instagram, it's LaShawn_G.
Awesome. Now, and the reason why I asked you that is what I've learned from growing like my own social media platform, and maybe you could use this or maybe you can't, but a lot of times, like, people will really buy into you way before your organization or your product or service. So I just think that it's really, really important for them to really fall in love with LaShawn, because you by yourself have so much to offer. And that was why it was important for me to have you on the show and a lot of other entrepreneurs on the show, not just talking about their business and what they do, but more about themselves. Because if people can begin to see your story, your own personal journey, everything that you went through, then it's more of a selling point because they're like, wow, she experienced some of this herself. Like when you were talking about some of the stuff that you went through growing up with these girls. That's great content right there in and of itself to continue to share that story. So then when you say, hey, join my cause because I can personally identify with what you're going through because I was there at one time myself. Or I'm still walking on this journey with you. So let's walk together.
Yes. I really appreciate that. That is so true. And I am learning that. And so I just appreciate that you solidified that for me, that if people can understand the personal journey, it's not just like I'm just trying to sell them something that I haven't experienced, but I'm not walking the journey with them. So I appreciate that. And, yes, I am going to continue to share my personal journey in hopes of people understanding the bigger cause behind it. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, and when we get off the call, make sure that you friend request me on Facebook and anywhere else, and I will always try my best to support you because I really believe in what you're doing.
Yes, thank you so much. I will definitely do that as soon as we get off the phone.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we are out. Manny Hall Show. It's been a pleasure with my guest, LaShawn. You guys take care. God bless.